Hi, my name is Lilia, and I used to teach computers at community school. Before me, there was Tony. He was the computer teacher when we enrolled our son in community school. I think that was around 1993. Like every other community school mom, I volunteered here and there around the school. The first big project I undertook was creating the school's first computerized student database. Later, when they needed a sub for the bus driver, I volunteered to do that too. It was to be for 2 weeks, but I ended up driving the bus for several years. During that time, Tony left the school and I was asked to take his place. I did, and that's how I came to be the community school technology coordinator for the better part of 2 decades, by accident. But it was a happy accident. When I started teaching at community school, the computer lab was located in the room where Michi's office is now. There were 7 computers. They did not have hard drives, and I had to boot the operating system from one floppy disk, remove it, and load the only program that we owned at the time, All the Right Type. Everybody came to do All the Right Type with me in the computer lab. Later, as you can see, we did get slightly newer computers. These were 286 machines. They did have graphic cards and color monitors. Still running DOS though, no Windows for us yet, but I found a cool little program called Kids Desk that gave a graphical user interface so the kids could get some practice with that. We got a digital camera and a color dot matrix printer too. These pictures were taken with that camera and printed on that printer. I just never throw anything away, and I had an old poster I'd made where I'd cut them out and glued them on cardboard, so I scanned them to use for this presentation. These are the only photos I have of the old computer lab. We didn't have internet access yet, but we did finally get a word processing program, and we made cookbooks, and we made books about animals we were studying, and we had a good time with what we had in the computer lab. Somewhere along about this time, we started doing class yearbooks as a big project every year. It was pretty time-consuming, particularly in the beginning, but we continued to do that project every year, and the kids seemed to enjoy it. I suppose I probably stopped doing the paper yearbooks about 3 years before I retired. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun too. Finally, we got internet access. In this computer lab of 7 286 computers, we got one 486 machine that had internet access. The world was at our feet. Eventually, we got more computers and we outgrew the room in the main building, so we moved to the 2nd floor of the office building in the room that's now Patty and Sue's office. In that room, we managed to squeeze in 16 computers, several printers, and you can see from this first picture that we've gotten a little ahead of our dot matrix days with inkjet printers. We even had a color laser printer before we left that room. It was a pretty cozy little classroom, but we had a good time in that computer lab for many years. We still practiced our keyboarding skills, but with a slightly more sophisticated piece of software than our old DOS program, All the Right Type. As time passed and I was able to acquire better hardware and better software, we undertook a little more wide variety of projects. And this one we used digital cameras and editing software. The kids took pictures of themselves and then found a picture of a fairy that they liked and combined them into fanciful fairy pictures. By now, we had 3 or 4 digital cameras, and the kids were able to do more interesting projects with them. We used the cameras for projects like this page from an ABC book. Some of our projects were even showcased in an article in an Australian photography magazine. The power of the internet. I had contributed to an online article about using digital cameras in the classroom, and that was how our creative kids came to the attention of an Australian magazine editor. Pretty cool, I thought, and I still have the magazine hanging around my house somewhere. I was pretty proud of the good work that they did. We did seasonal projects like this Halloween candy spreadsheet. We also did internet-based projects like this technological version of Flat Stanley. Instead of Flat Stanley being mailed from classroom to classroom, Betsy's class hosted Techno-Teddy, who traveled all through the world on cyberspace. The slide says that you can visit him on the CS website, but the very first community school website that I built has been gone for several years, so unfortunately you can't visit Techno-Teddy there anymore. However, I've got no doubt in my mind that he's still out there roaming around in the electrons enjoying himself. Here Here are a couple pictures of the middle school computer lab when the middle school inhabited the building that we called Middle School West. We kept getting new and better hardware and software, and we were beginning to really get crowded up in that space, and so finally the day that we'd waited for so long arrived. The new building was finished, and we got to move into the new computer lab. This is the location that the computer lab currently occupies, and I believe it's the biggest building in the whole entire school. Well, maybe not quite as big as the middle school classrooms, but pretty close. In true community school fashion, everybody had a hand in moving the computer lab. I imagine that we looked like a little line of ants traveling back and forth from the old computer lab to the new one. All the kids at community school, from kindergarten up through middle school, enjoyed using the new computer lab space and the new computers. When I was asked to contribute my memories for this project, the questions that I were asked were the things that I liked most about community school and the things that I liked least. The following pictures are going to show you the things that I liked most, in fact, the things that I loved about community school. Sometimes we worked separately and did research. Sometimes we worked together. Sometimes we all had to check out something cool that somebody else was doing. Sometimes we did podcasts. Even our youngest students became savvy web researchers. Sometimes we were enthusiastic. Always we learned. I think that while not everybody needs to be a computer technician, everybody needs to understand the basics of how computers operate. How to take a computer apart, how to put it back together, helps that understanding. It's also good to know some basic troubleshooting techniques, and also at least to know how to hook your computer up. Here you can see some of our middle schoolers engaged in that activity, but all of our students except the very youngest took part in these sorts of activities. Even other teachers seem to have a good time digging around in the computer's innards. The projector and screen were a nice addition to the classroom and made demonstrating how to do things a whole lot easier. Cherry and I collaborated on a Claymation Friday group for 2 years. I really enjoyed working with Cherry and the kids. Claymation was a lot of fun. We learned how to use Google Earth and Google Maps, how to insert placeholders, how to insert graphics, how to insert the simple HTML that lets us label our pictures. We had a lot of fun with that free software. I was also fortunate enough to be able to purchase 2 handheld GPS devices, so we incorporated learning about global positioning satellites in with our lessons on Google Earth and Google Maps. The kids were able to use the GPS devices to mark their favorite places on campus, and we finished off by having a geocache treasure hunt, and all the classes were able to find treasure. My biggest treasure was being able to spend time with the kids. Earlier I told you I was asked 2 questions for this interview. You've already seen all of the reasons that answered the first one, the things that I loved most about community school. Now you're looking at the thing that I liked the least about community school. But as I dug through all of my old files and found these pictures and put this together, I had sad moments and I had happy moments, but I enjoyed every minute that I was at community school, and I was fortunate to come to know so many good people, both teachers and students, and I wish you guys well. It'll be an awesome next 40 years. Have a good time.